We're continuing with Lone Star Conference Media Day here in McKinney, Texas, and it's always a privilege to get to visit with Coach Jeff Girsch from Angelo State. Coach, the defending now champions in the Lone Star Conference. Again, it's a place you've been before, but I'm sure it's nice to be back there. 9-3 overall in the season, but 9-0, 9 consecutive wins, all of them conference wins. Talk a little about 2024.
Well, it was definitely some ups and downs for sure. Starting 0-2 was something you don't plan on, but at the same time, we played some really good football teams and lost some tight games, and probably didn't execute the level we needed to execute to win those games, obviously, but not to our expectations too, and that's something that was disappointing. But you got to give credit where credit's due. I think we played two really good football teams in the non-conference with Fort Hays and Emporia State. So, but we got going. We figured some things out. We played a little bit more disciplined football, and we got into conference, and we had some tight ones in conference too. And I mentioned earlier that the football's bounced your way sometimes, and it bounces against you. It's a funny shaped ball. It's not a basketball. So it's going to bounce your way sometimes, and I think it did, in Lone Star a little bit, because it's a good league and it's a good conference, and to run off 9 straight in conference is a tough thing to do. But we've actually done that 2 of the last 3 years, within conference. So we're excited about get this one going, and hopefully we can continue what we've been doing the last couple of years.
Basketballs take some funny mounts sometimes too.
Usually it's off a foot or something like that, but the football one, man, I can go anywhere.
You're exactly right, Coach. Braden Fuller was announced today preseason offensive player of the year in the conference. Talk about what he brings to the table.
Well, it's a great honor for Braden. Obviously, you heard him talk, though. He's not worried about that. He's the true ultimate team player. He's about the team, and he's about that first, goal-oriented for the team. And but he's special. I mean, he's a great leader. We've had both of his brothers in our program, too. One was a punter, one was a place kicker for us, and they were all conference caliber football players for us as well. So he comes from a great bloodline, and just one of those guys you just love to be around. Great student. Everybody just follows him. He does. And the thing about Braden that he knows, too, is there's people breathing down his neck to play. We have a really good quarterback room, and he's one of those guys that comes out and doesn't rely on what he's done in the past. He just continues to get better, and he's a weight room fanatic. He loves to get on the field and throw and do things with our players. So he's a special one, no doubt.
Last year when we talked about this time, you were looking ahead. It wasn't a conference championship year in 23, so in between 22 and 24 there. And I asked about adjustments, and you said, really, it's not adjustments, it's fine-tuning. Yeah. So I have to ask that again now. Now you're coming off a conference championship. Now you're coming off an undefeated conference slate. How is it still fine-tuning, and where do you go from first?
Yeah, it is. It's still fine-tuning, but at the same time, too, it's continued to execute at the expectation that our guys need to. We didn't do that early in the year this year, and we didn't do it in 2023. I tell our guys all the time, don't think about last year in 2024 when you won a championship. Think about 2023 when you didn't. Because we were a good football team in 2023, and we lost some tight games, and we just got to continue to stay focused on what we do. We are a culture and a development program. We've developed our players. We dabble in the transfer portal and junior college recruiting, but probably 95% of what we do are through high school recruiting in the state of Texas, and bringing those kids in, having them in your program 2, 3, and 4 years. It's about those guys getting those reps all the way through, so when it's their turn, they're playing at a high level. So, the teaching has stayed the same over multiple years for these players, and, it's fine-tuning that and continuing to get better, but also it's the high level of execution that it takes to win football games each and every week. So that's something that we're focused on.
Back to Fort Hays to start the season again this year. You go back 2 years in a row. You get Emporia State at home this time around, and then Lone Star Conference slate. So talk about 25.
Man, we're excited. Obviously going to play Fort Hays again. They're a really good football team. They're well coached. They're physical, big up front in the O-line. Defensively, they had a defensive end last year. Thank God he graduated. He was something special. But we just know what we're going to get into when we go play them in Emporia. So we want to get off to a better start, but we're going to have to play well. There's no doubt. But we're excited about those games. Those are the games that we want to play. We don't want to go play something that's going to be a blowout just to get yourself going. We want to go play really good football teams, and we're doing that with Hays and Emporia State. So, you get those two to kind of lead you into the conference, and they're going to be great measure teams to see kind of where you stand in the Lone Star. So, we're excited about it.
Coach Jeff Girsch, Angelo State, congratulations again for the conference championship in 2024. Thank you for taking time with us today, and we will follow the Rams in 25. Lone Star Conference Media Day continues.